Why is the world always on the brink of war? Why, in 2026 are missiles falling on the Middle East again? If you listen to the news, they'll tell you it's about nuclear weapons, religious extremism, or spreading democracy. But they are lying to you. The real reason isn't hidden in a bunker or a holy book. It's hidden in your wallet. It's hidden in the price of your groceries, your gas, and the very value of the hours you spend at work. For 50 years, the world has been trapped in a system so powerful that most people don't even know it exists. It allows one nation to trade printed pieces of paper for the world's real physical wealth, oil, minerals, and labor. We call it the petrodollar. This isn't just a game for billionaires and generals. If you've ever wondered why your savings buy less every year or why a war 5,000 miles away makes your life more expensive, you need to understand the secret deal made half a century ago. A deal built on a global bank run and a lie that changed history. The story begins with a Frenchman who dared to count the gold. In the 1960s, French President Charles de Gaulle did the unthinkable. He realized the Americans were playing a game they couldn't back up. Under the Bretton Woods Agreement of 1944, the world lived by one iron rule. $35 equaled 1 ounce of gold. The dollar was as good as gold. But de Gaulle saw the flaw. The U.S. was printing billions to fund the Vietnam War, while their gold vaults remained stagnant. He sent ships and planes to New York, 129 flights and 44 shipments, to bring 3,000 tons of French gold back to Paris. He exposed the truth. The U.S. was running a global Ponzi scheme. When the rest of the world tried to follow France, the system collapsed. On August 15, 1971, President Nixon went on live TV and told the world, "We will no longer exchange dollars for gold." In plain English, we aren't paying you back. The dollar was suddenly a piece of paper with no anchor. It was the death of an empire. Or so it seemed. The U.S. needed a new anchor, something the whole world needed, but only the U.S. could control. They found it in black gold, oil. Look around you. Oil isn't just gas for your car. It's the plastic in your phone, the chemicals in your medicine, the fertilizer for your food. Oil is the base code of modern civilization. In 1974, Henry Kissinger flew to Saudi Arabia with an offer they couldn't refuse. The deal was simple. 1. Saudi Arabia sells its oil only in U.S. dollars. 2. They convince the rest of OPEC to do the same. 3. They take those billions of dollars and buy U.S. debt and weapons. In exchange, the U.S. military would guarantee the survival of the Saudi royal family. No matter what happened, Washington would have their back. From that moment on, the dollar wasn't a receipt for gold anymore. It became the entry ticket to the energy market. If you wanted to heat your home or move your goods, you had to find U.S. dollars first. The petrodollar was born. This created a perpetual motion machine for the American economy. The world needs oil. They need dollars. They sell real goods to America to get dollars. America prints those dollars for almost zero cost. The oil-producing nations take those dollars and buy U.S. Treasury bonds. America gets its money back to spend again. It is the ultimate, exorbitant privilege. But there's a catch for you, the average citizen. When the U.S. prints trillions to stimulate the economy or fund a war, the dollar loses value. This is exported inflation. Because the whole world is forced to hold dollars for oil, everyone on Earth pays for America's spending. When the Fed raises interest rates, it isn't just a domestic decision. It's a shock wave that destroys the savings of someone in Tokyo, London, or Mumbai. We are all working for a system where we have no vote. And if a country tries to leave the group chat, if they try to sell oil in euros, rubles, or yuan, that's when the freedom arrives. History has a pattern. In 2000, Saddam Hussein announced Iraq would sell oil in euros. 3 years later, U.S. tanks were in Baghdad. In 2010, Gaddafi tried to create a gold-backed African currency to bypass the dollar. A year later, Libya was in ruins. Now we look at Iran. Iran has been under sanctions for decades, yet they've built a shadow network. They are trading oil in Chinese yuan. They are showing the world that a post-dollar reality is possible. For Washington, Iran isn't just a regional rival. They are a systemic virus. If Iran succeeds in normalizing non-dollar oil trade, the 50-year-old machine stops. The $36 trillion of U.S. debt suddenly has nowhere to go. That is why the missiles are falling in 2026. It's not about the oil itself. America is now one of the world's largest producers. It's about the flow. It's about controlling the Hormuz Strait, the jugular vein of global energy. Who controls the flow? Controls the fate of every competitor's economy. But every machine has a fatal flaw. In economics, it's called the Triffin dilemma. To keep the world supplied with dollars, the U.S. must run massive deficits. It must import more than it exports. This means American factories have to die. The Rust Belt wasn't a mistake. It was a structural sacrifice to maintain the petrodollar. You can have the world's currency, or you can have your manufacturing jobs. You cannot have both. Today, the U.S. is fighting to save a system that has hollowed out its own middle class. We are spending over $1 trillion a year just on interest for our debt, more than our entire defense budget. The cracks are widening. Central banks are hoarding gold at record levels. BRICS nations are searching for a backdoor. The machine is still turning, but the friction is becoming fire. The petrodollar era taught us that money is power, and power is energy. But as the world starts to decouple, we must ask ourselves, what happens to our lives when the exorbitant privilege finally runs out? Peace is never guaranteed. The laws of the jungle never left the stage. We are simply living through the final act of a 50-year experiment.